Alright, so we're back in XD. We're still in design view. We're going to go to prototype in a few minutes, but before we can go into prototype so we can set up our prototyping, we actually have to indicate the clickable areas. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create invisible buttons over the top of our buttons that we actually made. And I'm going to have it to where I can click on things to do, I can click on guidebook, explore, or log in is going to be clickable. And then this little back button will be a button, as will this. Okay, so you can actually prototype out all your clickable areas. You would just have to build screens for it. So if you wanted to cycle through family-friendly events, you'd have to create a screen for that. So that's why we keep it to a minimum amount of screens, because everything that's interactive, if it goes to another screen, you have to have that screen. So let's go ahead and click or select those individual clickable areas. So I want you to go grab your rectangle tool, and I'm going to actually just use the Explore button, and I'm going to create. So you notice here this is a white triangle. This is not what I want. If you go over to your properties panel here, you can actually change the appearance. Take that down to 0. So my rectangle is still there, still very much there, I just don't see it. But whenever we take this into the prototype area, this will indicate that it's a clickable area. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and copy. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to click and drag, create a button, take it down to 0, again, create a button, and we're just using the rectangle tool. And you want to make sure that it covers all of your clickable area, so that regardless of what size your user's fingers are, that will be clickable. Okay, I'm going to make a back button there. Take it down, take the opacity down. And this will make more sense to you once we get into prototype view, but just trust me. Alright, there we go. So I have indicated my clickable areas, and you can always go back into design view at any time if you need to change anything. Alright, so essentially I have a clickable area, at least one clickable area on each screen, and those are going to coordinate with each other. So let's go into now prototype view, and you will notice there's my buttons, right? So I've indicated that this is my prototype, knows that this is my home screen. It defaults the first one to the home screen. You can change that if you want to, just by clicking and indicating that on different screens. So you will notice that I have my Explore button, and my Explore button is obviously going to go to the main screen. And then here, so on your button over here on the right in your properties panel, you can set the trigger. So obviously this is just going to be a tap. And here's the thing, if you're prototyping primarily on a computer, ideally we would send this to an actual device and test it, but we're going to just keep a tap. The drag, voice, those things, you got to consider what you're prototyping it on based on what gestures you use. Action is just going to be a transition. It's going to transition to the next artboard, and then I'm going to leave it just to, actually I think I'm going to do slide left. Yeah. Alright. And here I have my things to do. I'm just going to go to this screen, do tap. I'm going to keep it at a slide left. I think that looks really nice. You can always change that, and again we're going to preview it later. Guidebooks, click and drag. So it will keep all of your same attributes unless you tell it otherwise. So here's where I'm going to actually change my transition. So obviously this is going to take me back to the home screen, and I'm going to have that slide right because technically it's going back. That makes a little bit more sense. Same here. This is going to take me back to my home screen. So let's go and prototype that or play that and see what it looks like. So if you click play, actually let's start it from the screen that we're on. I'll click here. There we go. All right, so make sure that you are on your main screen. Go to play. Look, perfect. All right, so if I click explore, and now I can see things to do. If I wanted to prototype this where I could slide this up, I could, but I'm just going to leave that as a dummy right now. And I go to things to do, and I can even set this up to where I can swipe through it. We'll demo that later. I'll show that technology, so that's really cool too. And then there, and then guidebooks. So you see where the slide left, slide right makes sense. And then here, look, because I have that magic breakpoint that it made for me, I can scroll. And then if I wanted to make these clickable and build out those screens, I could. Boom, right back. So that is basic prototyping in Adobe XD. And you will notice that it actually lets you record this. I'm going to have you guys record this demo, but we'll cover that in another video. So again, if I didn't like those animations, if I wanted to change the way they transition, I could change that. And you know, it's a pretty robust program. It's simple and robust at the same time. I'll cover a couple of other things and provide other features for you guys if you're interested, but that is the basics of all you need to get set up and running and creating your prototype.